take a shot towards the end zone. Underthrown, touchdown! Trey Tucker to the end zone it goes! Caught! Touchdown, Armon Ben!
Starting up another episode of Bearcat Blitz. I'm Russ Heltman, your All Bearcats reporter on Fan Nation, SI's Fan Nation. Catch us on allbearcats.com. You can catch this show twice a week, recapping on Mondays, everything that happens with the Bearcats football action over the weekend, and then previewing everything on Thursdays, part of our Bally Sports shows there. We have hopefully getting a good bit of guest mix in throughout the season on these late week shows. And we got a good one for you guys today. UC's leading wide receiver from the Pitt game, 5 catches, right around 60 yards for Braden Smith. And of course, the game sealing touchdown to push their lead to 27-7 and ultimately the decider in that upset victory for the Bearcats. And of course, joined across the way by my usual guest, my co-host, Dominick Goodman, former UC wide receiver and Talawanda offensive coordinator up in the high school ranks. You can catch this show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, my YouTube page, Talking Cats with Russ Heltman. Find all the podcasts there, along with interviews with players and coaches across the Bearcats football roster and basketball roster once we start getting closer to basketball season. Interviewed Malik Van yesterday, the Bearcats' highest graded player on PFF through 2 games this season. The wily veteran is having himself a nice encore after an unfortunate injury shortened season in 2022. Dominick, it's battle for the Victory Bell week. This week, the Bearcats taking on the Miami Redhawks in the longest running non-conference continuous college football rivalry in the entire sport. It's a big one, and it's a big 2 weeks because next week is arguably the most anticipated regular season home game at Nippert Stadium this century. I mean, you can make a case for it for sure.
Yeah, Victory Bell this week. It's always a big rivalry when you're going against them. Everybody wants the bell, but the bell's been in our hands for a long time now, ever since I've been there, since my sophomore year. So
yeah, 16 straight years. It's the last time the Bearcats have lost.
Yeah, to me, in my opinion, it shouldn't even be no rivalry anymore. It's pretty much just keep the bell at the nip, leave it there. Miami just might as well just chalk it up, not even ask for it back. Just forget about the rivalry. It's not even a rivalry no more. But that's just how I feel, and I think other people feel that same way. But I'm just speaking for everybody.
Head coach Chuck Martin of the Miami Redhawks asked a question this week. Has my program played the most road games in the country since I took over back in 2019? The answer would be correct. Yes, the Redhawks have played the most road games of any team in the country over the last 4 years. I believe they're in the last 16 home games. There's 14-2 record. But Dominick, this game ain't being played at Yager Stadium. There hasn't been a Victory Bell battle played at Yager Stadium since 2017. The contract for this game continuing through 2029. But I don't know that there's a Yager Stadium date on the schedule. I'd have to dive into all that. Probably should have done that before the show. But I do know that they're playing this one at Nippert Stadium this coming weekend in a nip at night contest. And getting into some of the numbers here, Dominick, of the entire rivalry and UC's statistics and results in these kind of scenarios. When you look at the Bearcats in night games, they are very, very good. 14 straight night game wins for the Bearcats, 9 straight night game wins at home. They have a 26-1 home record since the start of the 2019 season, tied with Clemson for the best home record across that stretch. I mean, Dominick, next week will probably be just the 3rd time since 2018 that this team will be an underdog at Nippert Stadium. And if they blow the doors off Miami, who knows? It might be enough to end up odds makers throwing their hands up and saying, UC might not necessarily be ranked, but they're a top 30 team at home. This might just have to be a pick 'em against Oklahoma. UC's almost garnered that much respect with 2 straight wins to open the season.
Yeah, you got to give UC a lot of respect, especially you coming to the nip, especially don't let them black it out now. If they black it out, all I can say, people in trouble. I mean, Oklahoma in trouble. Miami always going to be in trouble regardless, but it's just that atmosphere, especially them night games. It's just a different feeling. I mean, as a player and as a person that played in them night games, it's just a different environment. Just brings chills up and down your spine. But I just think that's a big advantage for UC playing it at home and especially at night. So I'm expecting a lot of good things coming out that game.
13 straight sellouts now, Dominic, after UC just announced that this upcoming game is sold out at Nippert Stadium. I imagine it's going to be sold out once again next weekend for the contest against Oklahoma. And I'm not quite sure the theme for this weekend's game. I'm trying to pull it up right here before we dive fully into the preview. But let's get into it right now before we welcome on Braden Smith for the back half of the show. We got about 5 minutes to dive into some of the key players here for a Miami team that's 2-0, dominant, or 1-1, excuse me, got housed by the, honestly, I guess you got to call them the real Miami now, Miami, Florida Hurricanes. They destroyed Miami in week 1. The Redhawks come back and get a double-digit victory over UMass behind a high-powered outing from the new leading receiver single game mark in Redhawks history, a guy by the name of Gage Larvadain, 273 yards on 8 catches, 3 touchdowns, had a school record for yards in a game and single reception record with a 99-yard touchdown pass from Brett Gabbert in this contest, Dominic. He's going to be a serious key point of this game plan, a game plan that Malik Vann said the coaching staff basically laid out the answers to the test last week. And that's what he told me. He's like, I had the answers. We had a great game plan. And that's why I was able to perform so well and get a half stack and a half tackle for loss, multiple sacks in that game for the Bearcats. They're going to need to put decent pressure on Brett Gabbert to make sure he doesn't take advantage of a little bit, not dilapidated, but hampered UC secondary, given the fact that Sammy Anderson Jr.'s status still up in the air. But we'll see if Brett Gabbert's as willing to target Justin Harris as Phil Jerkovich was last week, when Justin Harris tied the program record with 4 pass breakups and would have had a much higher PFF grade, but missed some tackles here and there and was not quite as sound in the run game with his tackling chops. But it's going to be a nice test for those top 2 cornerbacks in Jordan Young and Justin Harris. We'll see if Miami's able to move Larvadain around to get him matched up off of Jordan Young, who has been one of the 5-6 best players snap to snap for the Bearcats defense so far this year.
Yeah, I feel like that's a great accomplishment by the receiver. I mean, that's
273 yards.
That's incredible. That's hard to do, but at the same time, it goes to they just one-dimensional. So UC does a good job as far as getting to the quarterback, stopping the run. So that's a thing that Miami's going to struggle with, being one-dimensional. So they're going to have to find ways to get him the ball, and I think the defensive coach got a good game plan, just like got the answers to the test. And as long as they follows those that study guide and follows those the cheat sheets, they'll know how to contain is it Gavin? Is that right?
Larvadain.
Larvadain. They figure out how to contain Larvadain, and once they do that, I mean, it's pretty much go back to my old saying, it's going to be a blowout. So you got to be able to run the ball to get your receivers open. If you can't run the ball, it's going to be struggling with the pass. So we'll see how it goes.
Gage Larvadain. We'll see what kind of impact he can have in this one. Mac Hippenhammer last year had a pretty strong game for the Bearcats, got a deep touchdown, was a guy that, or not for the Bearcats, for the Redhawks, obviously, caught a deep touchdown and was a guy that gave Arquan Bush and company some problems in coverage in the 2022 battle for the Victory Bell. On the other side of the football, when you're looking at the defense here, Dominic, there's not a lot to scare you when you think about the tackling issues they've had so far this season, the fact that the run defense is not really up to stuff. When you look at the analytics matchup in this game, the run defense is not great. It's 55th overall, so middle of the pack right there. And this could be an opportunity for Emory Jones to pick up his production from last week, where he was kind of just guiding the ship. Perfectly stable, perfectly solid, had 1 turnover, but didn't put the ball in harm's way very often and made enough clutch plays, i.e. that Braden Smith touchdown, to notch the victory for the Bearcats. I'm very interested to see if they can get the pass game going here against the Miami, Ohio defense that ranks 79th in the country in EPA per pass allowed, up against a Ohio or UC offense with the 20th EPA per pass ranking in the country. This is going to be very interesting and one that could ultimately decide the game when we think about Braden Smith, D. Wiggins, and this Xavier Henderson, who was held to 1 catch last week. Good job game planning by the Pitt Panthers. If that drop off in secondary competition from Pitt to Miami can let these guys explode a little bit more, that might be how the Bearcats win this game. Although they've won via the air and via the ground, Dominic, and both times they've totaled over 200 yards rushing.
Yeah, it's pretty much you got to pick your poison. You got a great receiving core they have, and you could try to focus on that. But at the same time, you got a good run game with Corey Connor and Montgomery. And then you got Jones also does well on his feet as well. So it's one of them things you just got to pick your poison. If it was me, I'll just be like, I got to stop the run and just hope for the best. But it just either way it goes for Miami, I think it's just going to be picking their poison and just allowing UC to see if they're going to struggle in the pass game, which I don't think they're going to do. But that's the only thing I could think of them trying to stop and trying to defend is the run game and just hoping they can make some plays and mistakes in the pass game.
Yeah, and one interesting aspect of this pass defense for me that could give UC some troubles is safety Michael Dow. He's got 2 interceptions already this year, is the highest graded player on the team in coverage right now with an 85.1 grade. Maybe that's a way for the Redhawks, Dominic, to shut down those deep passes that really worked well and unlocked a lot of things for UC in that opening game against EKU, and honestly worked well at snippets at some plays here and there against Pitt. Can Michael Dow make that kind of impact on his end? And also, when you think about impacting the quarterback, Emory Jones, another guy who's played very well so far this year, Caden Woolard, edge defender, leading the team with 7 total pressures across 2 games, has about 93 total snaps so far this season. So they're going to get a decent kind of diet of Caden Woolard in this ball game. We got Braden Smith in the queue. We'll welcome him on after this break right here on Bearcat Blitz. And then once we say goodbye to Braden, Dominic and I will see if UC can cover the spread. That's kind of what we're going with in this one, a 17-point spread. We'll touch on that after the break along with Braden right here on the Bearcat Blitz. Still waiting on Braden for just a minute. So as he gets shuffled in here, let's go ahead and make our pick right now, Dominic. We'll get that out of the way, and then we'll let Braden get situated in the back end. You see a 90.7% matchup predictor favorite in this game. And the line, actually, I'm mistaken, Dominic. The line's been bet down. It is not 17 points. It's going the exact opposite direction. Sharps and bettors are liking what the Miami Redhawks could bring to the table here, and they bet it down all the way into the key number of 14, a very key number. The fact that this has come off of 14.5 to 14 says a lot. What are you going with here as we quickly give our picks and then welcome on Braden?
First of all, I'm not a big gambler, so just give me a quick rundown. 14, what that means? As long as they
so like 28-14 key number. 35-21. So there's so many different football scores end in like multiples of 14 or 7 or 10 or 3. There's so many different deficits that end in that kind of number difference.
Yeah.
So when it comes off of a 28-14 win, you would cover if you're Miami at 14.5 points, but you don't cover if it goes down to 14. So more people leaning towards the Redhawks way in that sense.
Well, I mean, it's going to be a blowout. So, I mean, either way it go, 21, 28, 30, it don't matter. You can just go ahead and throw it down. It's going to be a blowout. So, I just feel like UC going to pull away, at least win by 30. That's my feeling.
Win by 30. You've been more accurate than I have with the score predictions. I'm going to roll UC 35-17 in this game. I think the offense gets going through the air. They slow down Caden Woolard enough. Michael Dow makes maybe 1 or 2 plays, but they get him for a couple deep shots, and they get the job done. And another big win, kind of similar score to last year's battle for the victory bell. Let's go ahead and welcome in Braden Smith now. He is the Bearcats wide receiver, transferred over from Louisville this past offseason, and he is already making plays with UC. 5 catches, 59 yards, and the game-sealing touchdown. The difference in the 27-21 victory for Cincinnati against Pitt. Braden, thank you so much for the time today, my man.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
So, Braden, this is fitting. We had to change the schedule around a little bit. For I heard you're doing some piloting things, and it's a 2-0 record so far to start the year. You told me a couple of weeks ago when I interviewed after practice one day that one of the incentives for your teammates this year was going to be a flight with you if you start winning. Is there a certain amount of wins that the team has to get to before those seatbelts start getting strapped up and the headset gets put on by Braden Smith and his teammates?
Yeah, I told a couple of the guys after we got our first win at Nippert, we could go up and fly around Nippert. They've been on my tail about it ever since. So maybe one of these days we'll sneak one in and go up and have some fun.
There you go. So the flying thing, let's touch on that real quick and then get into the performance from Saturday. Are you a single engine? Is that kind of what it starts out as, a single engine type of thing, and then you move up from there? Or are you just wanting to stay on one type of plane? How does that all work?
Yeah, so I'm still in the training process right now. I just got licensed in a single prop type plane, just a small little 4-seater type trainer. So just working my way up through there, but been having fun with it and plan on continuing it.
Dom, all you.
Well, just basically really just want to, as far as what's the difference since you came from Louisville? What's the difference as far as the culture wise being at Louisville and being at UC?
I would say, probably here, just you can tell the guys are a lot tighter, more tight knit. You can tell everybody holds everybody accountable. Everybody, is really playing for their brother. And, I think that's why there's such a, tradition of winning culture here. And, I'm just grateful to be a part of it now.
Braden, walk us through the touchdown catch in Pitt in the corner of that end zone. You're able to scrape that knee. Dominick and I, we spent about almost 2-3 minutes on it, just going through how difficult people for that don't really understand how difficult it can be to contort your body in that kind of way and still be able to drag that knee. Maybe go through moment by moment what you saw in that play.
Yeah, so it was a play we've been working on all week. We knew we would get called some point in the game, and Coach Satterfield ended up calling it and ran it, got the look we wanted, and Emory threw the ball, and just that point in the game, my mind's just got to do whatever I can to to make the catch and make a play, and fortunately was able to make the catch, and very fortunately able to get my knee down. So glad that was happening. Glad it worked out for us.
Are you ever, obviously it's such a split second thing. Are you thinking in that split second, I got to get my knee in, or are you just trying to angle any part of your body as into the painted grass and the non-white grass as possible?
Well, I think the priority on my mind was to catch the ball at first. But once it's caught, you just kind of want to feel something hard as quickly as possible on the ground. So I just kind of tried to just get whatever I could down, and hopefully, I would be in bounds, and it worked out that way. So it was good.
Yeah, well, also seeing your throw too as well, man. He threw a nice little dot, man. So my question is, because I played receiver and I played quarterback in high school as well. So my biggest question is kind of like a two-way question as far as do you ever miss playing quarterback? Like, do you think you can go back to it if you had the opportunity? And also as well, do you see, was it a struggle from playing quarterback to going to receiver at all, or any chance?
Well, to your first question, yeah, I miss quarterback every day I step out there. I think it's probably one of the most exhilarating positions out there. But, I think it's good, for me to transition from quarterback to receiver. I think some of those quarterback characteristics, helped me transition in that sense. And, Coach Satterfield, thankfully has believes in me enough to be able to throw the ball and bring out those QB instincts every now and then. So I try to maximize on those as much as I can to relive those glory days. But I think to your second question, I think the transition was probably made a little bit easier because it came from quarterback. So I'm glad it worked out that way.
Chatting with UC wide receiver Braden Smith on the Bearcat Blitz podcast. You can catch us on YouTube, Talking Cats with Russ Heltman, and wherever you catch your podcast, plus Valley Sports every weekend in the UC football season. So talking about that belief that the coaching staff has in you, Braden, was there, I hope you can answer this question now that we're a week moving from the game, but was there a plan going in to Saturday to kind of feature you? Because this was, you were peppered with more targets in this one than in the EKU opening contest.
Not really. I think, how we're kind of centered, man, it's just, we have our certain plays and, you get open and the quarterback's job is to find you. So I think, what I try to do is just, each play, each passing concept, just, running to the best of my ability and get open. And, Emory did a great job of finding open targets that game. And, fortunately, I was able to catch a couple of them. So that's kind of how it happened.
Okay. Oh, well, so far as what would you say far as your big? What would you say? I know my role at UC as a receiver position was I was the ISO guy, and I was pretty much like the big receiver playing slot sometimes, like a tight end role. What would you say your role is on the receiving core?
I would say my role is probably just that, that slot guy. A lot of type things over the middle. A lot of underneath, a lot of gadget type things, and also just kind of being, I've been with this coaching staff for a while, so also kind of just a veteran presence in the room, and kind of bridging that gap from the guys that have Satterfield for the first year. I think one of my big roles is to really make it easier for the guys on the field, since I'm been in the offense for so long and very comfortable with it. So, really just that slot middle of the field type guy, and, really try to be a veteran, presence in the receiver room.
Last question here for UC wide receiver Braden Smith. Very gracious with his time, and unfortunately, we don't have much more time in the Thursday show slot here. So, biggest key, Braden, as we say goodbye to you guys as an offense, keeping this momentum going on the field throughout the rest of non-conference play this weekend, obviously, and then in the Big 12.
Yeah, man, I think one of the biggest things, like you said, is just keep it rolling. I think when you have some success early on, it's, kind of easy to get complacent sometimes and, start going through the motion. So, coaches have been harping on, keep your foot on the pedal, keep going, keep getting better every week, keep growing. And, we've seen from the past 2 weeks that we got the potential to be a really explosive offense. So, just trying to really hone in on the details, on the fundamentals, and, keep it going from here, and, hopefully stack together as many wins as possible.
Love it. Love it. Braden Smith, UC wide receiver, thank you so much for the time, man. We really appreciate it. We know you guys got busy schedules. Can't thank you enough.
I just want to say, man, I'm proud of y'all, man. Keep doing y'all thing, man. Us alumni, especially the receiver corps, we always watching and bragging on y'all because y'all a talented group. We love what y'all got going, man. I wish the best and success for you, and just keep doing your thing, man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you. Appreciate y'all. Have a good day.
Braden Smith, everybody. Awesome stuff right there from Braden Smith. Really, really gracious with his time and some good answers. I'd love to get a camera up there when those Bearcats get on that plane. I don't know. He might not be able to bring too many big fellas, Dominick, because I'm sure with that single prop plane, there's got to be a little weight limit or something. But I wish we had more time. We would be diving into more stuff. We'll have to get some Dominick Goodman Battle for the Victory Bell top memories on the next show we do coming off of this weekend's game. For Dominick Goodman, I'm Russ Heltman. Check us out wherever you get your podcasts and on Valley Sports as well. This has been the Bearcat Blitz podcast on the Believe Network.
Ritter to the end zone, looking for Pierce. Did he hang on? Yes. Touchdown. Here on back as I've been around. Here he goes again. Busts free. Jerome Ford down the sideline. Foot race. House call. Touchdown. a big one, too. And it's going to go all the way to the